to the order of the Board of Commissioners meeting of December 19th. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move the agenda.
Second. Second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. At this point, we want to recognize all the folks and the people that had anything to do with the Yellow Line project and recognition of their award. So at this time, the County Board would like to recognize and thank the team of professionals that have worked to make the Yellow Line project a success that it is in Blue Earth County, and that the various awards the project has received. Phil, would you come forward now and speak to the different awards the Yellow Line project has received, I should say.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Really appreciate the chance to get our team together. I think that was the only piece that's been missing. A number of us were up at the AMC conference and received the County Achievement Award from AMC, and then after that, the Humphrey Institute gave us the Local Government Innovation Award. And Sheriff Peterson came up for that along with a number of us as staff, and so that was a nice event as well. I would ask just a couple minutes for people on our team that are here to just introduce themselves. So I think everybody knows me, but I'll ask Angie to start, and we'll kind of wind our way from Director Miller around.
Angie Eckberg from Human Services.
You should stand. Stand.
Eckberg from Human Services.
Scott Miller, Director of Public Safety, Mankato.
Matt Rose, Commander, Mankato Department of Public Safety.
Judy Hepworth, Jail Social Worker.
Jocelyn Miller, Assistant Jail Administrator.
Darren Tomsvik, I'm the Mobile Crisis Treatment Director with Horizon Homes.
Julie Moniz, Behavioral Health Supervisor, Human Services.
Mike Crowell, Director of Horizon Homes.
Amy Cribble, I'm a mental health professional with Horizon Homes. Jesse Lawrence, Community-Based Coordinator for Yellow Line Project. Michelle Eckner with Human Services.
Chris Hoffman, Sports Services Supervisor.
Tracy Jansen, Fiscal Supervisor, Human Services.
Josh Weidel, Community Corrections. Mike Bauer from the Sheriff's Office.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah. And Mr. Chair and Commissioners, just two comments. The first of those, on behalf of Director Miller and the Sheriff, myself, all administration, Mike Mowers here, and Mike Pribble from Horizon. The best piece of it administratively is that we work together. So getting us in a room like this and say, we really have worked some things out, handoffs, communication links, and common mission. And so that's been a real pleasure, and it really hasn't been the tough part. The tough part is grinding it out and getting each of the pieces of the workflow right, understanding the different disciplines and how we hand off. So that's the first comment. The second comment is about the people who are serving in our community, and I know this is near and dear to all your hearts, is that those folks, what I've been saying lately on behalf of our team is they're really given about half a chance when we start working with them. And if the system has enough cracks in it that we take that half a chance away, there's no chance. And I really do feel like that's the people we serve. We see folks with that kind of hollow, empty look in their eyes and saying, I have no way out of this hole. And so this Yellow Line project has really been a multidisciplinary way to say we reach out an arm. But I want to be clear, it's halfway. That's the best we can do. They need to meet us that other half. And so we're not about handouts or being soft on crime or anything like that. We're about saying we want to give somebody a real half chance. So I appreciate your all support, and you guys have really reached out and tried to make this mission viable. Appreciate that very much, and thank you to all these people that do the real work. That's all.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you all again for giving people another chance. So thanks again.
I just wanted to mention there's people from all over the country actually kind of keeping an eye on this project too. I get communications from the state and from NACO and other places that say they're interested in what Blue Earth County is doing with this project.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we're really proud of you guys.
Yep.
We
Thank you so much.
really are. I mean, you put this thing together and you made Blue Earth County and the city of Mankato look proud. And it's great because we get recognized from the National Association of Counties, and it makes us feel good, you know, when somebody comes up and says, "Hey, Blue Earth County is really doing great." And I say, "Yep." We got good people there. So thank you very much.
You're saying despite the commissioners, yeah, we did it all right.
I know.
And for your reward, you don't have to stick around for the committee report.
Yeah.
They're pretty
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know, those folks from the city of Mankato, they should have to live through it.
All right.
I gotta get my page up here.
Everybody set for the reports?
I am, and mine's relatively short.
Okay, Will, go ahead.
Okay, after our last board meeting on the 12th, we had the community farm meeting. We talked about what we're doing for next year and a little organizational stuff. And then on the 13th, I had a landowner meeting for JD 17 in Garden City. So that's my report.
Oh, good. Drew, is yours relatively short?
No, it's not.
Oh.
Sorry. I mean, it's relatively short compared to 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. We had our last board meeting just a week ago on the 12th, and right immediately following the board meeting, I went to the Building and Trades Luncheon. A lot of times those guys will invite me to the labor hall over there, and there were state reps there. Let's see, our 2 local reps were there, Jack Considine and Clark Johnson, and then Mayor was there, and people who report on projects that are going on. So Ryan Tilges was there when I walked in. He had just been here at our board meeting, and he was giving a report of all the construction projects for 2018. And I gave a little update on our building project and kind of the 3 phases of it, and also that Bob had confirmed that it will be posted as prevailing wages, which is, labor's always happy to hear that, and it's there was a man there to speak about the positives that prevailing wages have on your community by raising the standards for things sometimes that happen. And then at 2 o'clock I met with Ryan Tilges, our public works engineer, out at Highway 33. Some residents over the last few years have expressed concerns about that roadside going down the hill on 33, just leaving the area from South Bend right there. And we spent over an hour together. I was really appreciative to Ryan. We got out of the car and had to walk in the woods a little bit to try to see if we could find a place for pedestrians along that road, and it's almost impossible. I mean, it looked like there might be a chance. The only thing, he came up with one option that which may occur so that one side of the road might be able to have a wider shoulder. So that's something in the works he's working on. He's thought about it. And because we even saw a gentleman walking down the road and a semi-truck had to slam his brakes on because he thought he was going to hit him while we were there.
That's it, by the curve.
No, this is like,
Still like further?
You go past that waste management area there. You're going down that hill to that church at the bottom of the hill right there on South Bend. Okay. You know, maybe you can describe it better, Will. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, you just described it. It's a real narrow. They cut through the stone there to put the road in, and there's not any extra room there.
Very little room. So, but he's coming up with maybe one creative idea. So one side of the road might have like a 5 or 6 foot shoulder. Right now there's basically no shoulder. And then Thursday we had our NACO Central Region call in, and we had some very good speakers that spoke. And I just wanted to mention something about a sheriff from Lucas County in Toledo, Ohio. His name is John Thorpe, and he talked about basically, you know, the president has announced that it's really a national epidemic, a national health emergency that's going on with heroin and with opioids throughout the country. And he talked about mental health and the drug abuse response team that they've been developing. They call it DART. It's very interesting. their population is close to 600,000 in that area. But so they feel the impacts or see it every single day. They can't even, their coroners can't keep up with the deaths that are occurring in that area. And just to say a little bit more, I won't say too much, but he was really thinking outside the box and started this response team. And even connecting cities, let's just say an example would be Blue Earth County. Let's say Eagle Lake has a police officer, another little city might have a police officer. They actually donated their police officers to this response team and finance it. And so he's got these people from all over who are being deputized for the county. And they're using them on this response team around the clock. Eventually he got the county attorney to help them find some money. So they get about an extra $800,000 annually to help finance their DART team. And it's really very successful. And his words were, he really doesn't want people with these mental health and drug addictions arrested, if possible. So they really try hard not to arrest them. If they insist, you know, they're arrested. But tries to find them help, and that's their emphasis, and it's really interesting to hear him talk. He also has an outreach towards homeless veterans, and so they've created a small team for homeless veterans, because outside of Toledo, Ohio, apparently there's some pretty rural, rustic areas, and many veterans are camping out there in the woods, and now they're coming in that have mental illness and drug addictions, and so he's developing a smaller team like that. So it kind of is in line with kind of what we're doing here, trying something different with the Yellow Line Project, and I just thought it was very noteworthy. There was other people on the line too that spoke of justice involved, dual dependency, mental health, and drug dependency. And it was just a good hour-long call-in. And then at 2 o'clock that same day, NACO Health Steering Policy call-in. That's on Thursday the 14th, and that they're going to be having a health and justice forum. So they're looking at people with these issues and that are justice involved, and they're going to have a forum. NACO is going to help sponsor it also in Shelby County, and so that's down by Memphis, Tennessee, and there'll be people there comparing notes about what's going on around the country, comparing data, trying to come up with new policies, and just hearing from each other. I think about 150 people are expected, and I was invited by them as a representative from our board and our county just to be a part of a panel, it sounds like. So there'll be somebody moderating it and to talk about, give them an update of what we're doing here with the Yellow Line Project, and with Phil's help, you know, hopefully I'll have the correct information with me, and Angie's help. So,
good for you.
Yeah. So it'll be
Is that on the 17th and 18th?
Yeah.
I'm going to that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
17th, 18th, 19th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's because I serve on the NACO Health Steering Policy Committee, and I'm sure that that's one of the reasons why they called. And then on Friday, the 15th, we only meet, you know, about 5 times a year. We have call-ins throughout the year, but it's SHAC, you know, our State Community Health Services Advisory Committee, and this meeting is an all-day meeting. So we start out the day at 9 o'clock, and we have our executive board meeting with the commissioner, the health commissioner, Ed Ellinger. He's a very understanding, knowledgeable man about health and the issues that face communities around our state. And we talked about infectious diseases. They have a work group that works just on that alone, because we're feeling that we don't have the capacity to respond if we had a major outbreak. They're concerned about tuberculosis, having an outbreak of that here in the state. There's been quite a few cases, active cases, reported, and that spreads very quickly. As we know, we got a report from our own public health office here. And then Doug Hipsch was our chair, and served actually 2 years, because we had some issues the year before where something happened to that chair. He was unelected or something. So he served 2 years, and last January they elected me to be the chair, so they handed me the gavel. In fact, I got it right here with me. And I chaired the second half of the meeting. I was a little nervous, you know what I mean? I'm sure you guys, but they actually give you your own gavel, so I thought that was kind of nice. And we talked about quite a few issues, including other work groups reports that happened, and it was a very good meeting. I just really want to say that. So then, quick one. Met with some of your constituents on Sunday, at the Calvary Lutheran Church over in Rapidan.
Oh.
So hear about Lutheran Social Services and what they're doing in our region, and give a message. And then Monday, Bud Lawrence's funeral. He was the one basically of the powwow with Jim Buckley. Bud was really quite a community member in this region here, and there was Native Americans who came and really spoke highly of trying to get that process of healing between Mankato and our indigenous Native Americans. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, I got 9:15, so...
9:15 or 9:20 was our first.
We have a
Oh, the 9:20? We got 5 minutes, yep. I was looking at, okay, Kip?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. After our last board meeting, we had our truth and taxation hearing that evening, Tuesday night. Had 3 people in the audience, I believe, and nobody testified. Bob gave a great presentation on the summary of the budget and the preparation of the budget for us. Had several people, I think, that came in and went downstairs, talked about evaluation issues, but all in all, I think it was a good truth and taxation hearing and had good staff there. Then the next day I was off to Micah. I think the biggest news we got at Micah is Keith Carlson has announced his resignation this summer, the CEO of that organization. So I'm sure there'll be a search on to try to replace him, which is going to be a very difficult job. And I've already informed our administrator that he's not qualified, and if I have to get on the hiring process to make sure he doesn't get hired there, I will do that. Then the next day after that, I had my EMS meeting, and we were just talking about that grant we got for the child safety car seat grant, and we were just trying to determine if we should do that as a subcontractor or a full-time employee for EMS. And after great deliberation and good discussion, because we were split on it, we decided to put the person on full-time with benefits so that that person could help us inside the EMS organization. We got the funding to support the person, so we did make that decision and moved forward with that. So I think it's going to be good to get 2 people back in that office, because Mark's been trying to do it by himself and it's just been difficult. So it came with some funding, so that worked out really well. After that, I had the planning and zoning. They have a supper for just the whole planning and zoning board to get together with their spouses, and Lyle Lyle and George put that together. We had a nice supper, got to visit with some of them people offline instead of business, so that was enjoyable. Yesterday I was at my MVAC meeting. We had several things to do for the child development group, some grants we had to approve, and then Amanda had her review, and she's been doing a great job. She had a positive feedback from all the board members get to review her, and so she had a positive feedback, and she will be continuing with MVAC as the head person. And then this morning, Commissioner People and I were loading gifts and hauling stuff around for the sharing tree. So brings me today, Mr. Chair.
Thanks for doing
it. All right, Vance.
All right, well, after our last board meeting, I went to a Children's Museum meeting. And then after that, I went directly to the community farm meeting with Will. And then I had a NACO Transportation Steering Committee call in. And then we had our TNT meeting. So I had a full day last Tuesday. On the 13th, or on Wednesday, I had a Transportation Alliance Planning Committee for the 125th anniversary annual meeting, which will be next year, next fall. And on the 14th, in fact, I missed the central call-in because there was a Greater Mankato Growth breakfast for the federal tax reform bill that was out at GMG that me and Mark showed up at. And a lot of interesting information. It's nice to hear from there because it's nonpartisan. You're not hearing, I mean, you always hear one side or the other side say, oh, it's so great, or oh, it's so terrible, and it's nice to hear it straight down the middle what's going to happen.
Yeah, they were actual accountants.
Yeah.
They're big time, yeah.
On December 16th, on Saturday morning, I was Santa's helper out at the Children's Museum. They had a breakfast with Santa down there. actually sold out. They had this breakfast that they had, and it was really a nice event, and nice to, of course, watch kids with Santa.
You didn't wear the costume, no?
No, I was helper. I was. I even took off my pointy ears though, but it was okay. And then yesterday I went to a fair for all at the New Creation Outreach Church, and they have a once a month thing where they sell boxes of food, and this is for everybody. I mean, in fact, they want more people because that brings down the prices of the food. So if this is actually supported by the county and by extension, we have people from the county out there, and the extension is out there, and they're really excited to see me being out there, and would like to see all the commissioners being out there.
I stopped out, Vance.
And
At the end, towards the end.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure they were excited to see you
Got
too.
two meat packages.
There you go. So
Gave one away.
So it's a good thing to spread the news and spread it on to other people, because it comes once a month. It's kind of like that fruit basket truck that comes once a month. It's not a lot of people get this idea. It's, you know, you have to be of a certain, you know, you have to be poor or something to be able to buy it, and that's not the case.
No.
Those folks certainly are taking benefit, but the more people that are purchasing, the lower the prices are. So if we can get the word out to get more and more people, I'm going to try to get a article in our next county newspaper and try to get something out there. But that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just to make one comment to that. My wife Dawn is involved with it too, and so she's agreed to be a distribution site in Medelia.
We heard that Medelia is opening
Yeah, so
up.
she comes there. We tried to use my old trailer and freestyle, and could barely fit it all in there last month. So this month, somebody else brought a bigger vehicle, but they get like 280, 300 orders in Medelia. And, you know, it adds up after a while.
Absolutely.
So she was busy yesterday using Luther Memorial Home as a kind of a community reading place, and people come and pick up the food.
Well, it's good to know. I don't think I knew enough about it. All right, let's start with our 920 with the Blue Earth County Waste Management Plan, and Miss Julie Conrad, who's our great water planner.
Good morning, Julie.
Morning, Julie.
Hi.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. You got exciting stuff for us today.
Exciting.
Pardon?
Exciting stuff for us
Tab
today.
13.
Yes.
13.
Relief. The Blue Earth County Water Management Plan will be the fourth plan that we've had since the first one was adopted in 1990. And updating the water plan has been a long process over several years, as you know. There were multiple opportunities for public input, state agency review, and approval, finally by the Board of Water and Soil Resources. The county board formally adopting the plan will be the final step. The process involved started with a legally noticed public meeting when the planning process started, and there were online surveys. We had a water plan advisory committee that met 5 times in 2016. A technical and stakeholder committee met 8 times in 2015 to update the green print and develop a wetland plan that was then incorporated into the water plan. There were more than 25 work sessions, small group, and open house meetings with stakeholders in 2016 and 2017. The county board had 2 work sessions and conducted 2 public hearings, the most recent being in July this year. Then the state agencies involvement, including the Board of Water and Soil Resources, the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, the Department of Natural Resources, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and the Minnesota Department of Health, provided input at the start of the planning process and at 2 other times during the review process for the plan. The Board of Water and Soil Resources finally approved the plan in September this year, and the county board formally adopting the plan is the final step. And a resolution to adopt the plan was included in your packet.
All right.
I'll move for...
Been moved?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second for the plan. Any discussion or questions of Julie? Or everybody?
I've got some.
Go ahead, Drew. A whole bunch, huh? No, you
I
can
want
only
to thank Julie for working on this too, because I know that last year and the year before, you and I met twice to just kind of go over some of this stuff. It's really quite complex, you know. I'm on the Environment and Natural Resources Policy Committee for AMC, and I felt like I should be aware more of what's in the plan. And there's redundancy built in the plan purposely, which, you know, I think a lot of state plans are like that, aren't they, Julie?
Yeah.
And so they do that for safety reasons, and to emphasize certain things. And there's just a lot of, there's so much information in that plan that it's a little bit almost mind-boggling. You know, I mean, it's overwhelming. But I'm glad that Bowser has accepted it, and that you're bringing it to us today for our acceptance. So, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair. I'd just like to thank Julie also. I was on a couple of committees and tried to make it to most of the meetings, but there was a lot of effort put into this program and, on Julie's behalf, and a lot of residents and community leaders from Blue Earth County also. So I'd like to echo Drew's comments.
Thanks.
I've already, thanked you very much, because you have done a good, excellent job. You introduced it that way.
We got a lot of water in this county.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, it keeps you busy.
A lot of running water.
All right. Any more questions or accolades, or whatever we can? You have the resolution in front of you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
We'll be seeing more of you, I know that, as we go along.
Have a good day.
All right.
We got 5 minutes.
Yep. Well, that's right. We got almost 5.
Chair's
You
report.
could do- I didn't do my report, and I can do
I'm
that.
sure it's going to take
Yeah, right.
10, 15 minutes.
I just recovered from my hard cold there, and then I got up early, went with Vance at that GMG's tax. That was kind of interesting, because at that point wasn't sure it was even going to make it. I mean, at that he delayed it already once, but I think Baker had a inside track on what was happening out in DC, so that was interesting. Then we had basically just had to share a tree this morning, and that was always fun. And,
Mr. Chair, one more
worthwhile.
comment on the sharing tree.
Yeah.
Was that Blue Earth County participated the last 2 years in getting gifts, so we were also involved in that. So the county staff.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
They've been, and we've branched even into like Partners for Affordable Housing too, with gifts.
Yeah.
So we add on to
Several
our
boxes.
nonprofits. We help out. So, all right. I guess that concludes. Unless I think we
Mr.
can
Chair,
do
would you
something
like to
quick.
do a couple of
Do the-
administrative
Yep, we could do
items?
that.
Sure. First item is the county board minutes for December 12th.
Move to approve.
In a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And we do the bills quick?
You got time?
Yeah. Oh, we could check. About 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
I don't know, I've got about 4 or 5 questions.
Do you?
All right.
I
Go
will
ahead.
move the bills.
Bills have been moved. Second?
Second.
Okay. You got it. Go ahead, Drew.
Bruns Construction, there's $74,254. Just wondering what project they were working on.
That is County Ditch 12,
Okay.
east side of town here.
Yep. General Electric, GE, building improvements, $4,549.
It was lights for one office, right? That's a joke.
That is basically a universal power system, a UPS batteries that were purchased for a building. I don't know which building,
You don't know
but
what building?
I can see if it's noted. I didn't make note of that, but
Okay.
let me see if I can.
I just noticed them in the bills last few times, wondering other kind of work they're doing.
I guess it's the Justice Center.
I was wondering. Specialized things up there with that energy saving program. And then Raw Construction Company, RAW. There's $239,000, $184.
That's JD 34, so another ditch system.
Wow, okay. And so they must be done. They done?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're done yet.
And there's a big one, SMC, I'm assuming it could be one of our big road projects, but $611,950.
That is County Road 12, the final stage.
Okay. And then Westman Freightliners, we made a purchase for $117,000.
That is a tandem truck for the Public Works Department.
Okay.
That's a pretty good price.
It is.
Yeah,
Well, it's
117.
not geared up yet, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably just
Yeah,
a truck.
probably-
Yeah,
It's probably just a truck,
The
yeah.
plow
Stripped
wing
out.
was
Yeah.
added
Is that a
later.
plow?
It'll be a plow.
It'll be a plow.
Probably come in.
Still,
Get the
yeah.
plow
Be a
put on it.
$200,000 truck then.
Yeah, when you get it
By
all
the time you
loaded.
plow and
but,
the sand in the box.
But the bases, that's not bad.
And those were scheduled, that one was scheduled, I'm sure, in the Public Works.
Yes, part of our capital improvement plan.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Only other
Thank
big
you.
one was Yulin Brothers for $435,000.
That is CASA 14
Okay.
road project.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Budget, the bills have been paid, so now we can go to planning and zoning. Mr. George Leary and compatriots all. There we go.
Morning, George.
George.
Good morning.
Morning.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, all that fun stuff.
We'll do it even now, yeah. Happy New Year. All right, go ahead, George.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PC 22-17 is a request from Randall Westman. It is a request for review and approval of the preliminary and final plats of Westman Knolls, a replat of lots 2 through 5 of Block 1 of the Willowa Knolls subdivision. The proposed plat will include one lot and one outlot. The property is zoned rural residence and is located in the Shoreland Overlay District of Lake George and Lake Washington, both recreational development lakes as classified by the Minnesota DNR. The property is located in the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 19, Jamestown Township. Mr. Leary presented the staff report. The applicant was present and made no further comment. There was no public comment and little discussion by the Planning Commission. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward to the County Board a recommendation of approval based on the findings prepared by staff, and the board action is a resolution.
Okay. At this time, I think we need public comment. Anybody out there wishing to speak on behalf of the PC 22-17 can please come forward. At this time, if there's anybody wishing to make a comment, now is the time. And for the third time, anybody wishing to speak on 22-17, please come forward. Okay, hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board for action.
I'll move approval.
And moved in second. All right, discussion.
Just have one question.
Go ahead, Drew.
I noticed on the map that was provided that Jessica Drive, was vacated. Was that because they were planning on doing a further development in that area, or what was that about, do you know?
Right, that Jessica Drive would have setback requirements, and at an earlier meeting, they vacated that section of undeveloped or unimproved section of Jessica Drive, along with some utility easements. And the reason being is that the replat of lots 2 through 5 would allow one home on those combined lots, and then there would be no concern of encroachment into that platted right-of-way because it's been vacated.
Okay.
The house will likely be somewhere within that former platted area. Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. It seemed like that, but I'm just curious.
It's interesting, is the area that is north of County Road 2 but still in Blue Earth County.
Yes, and that is all outlot. It's just a cattail wetland marsh. Yeah. But it's part of that property and had to be part of the plat.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, we always think of County Road 2 as being the border road, you know, and everything
Not
north
around the
of
lake.
there. Except for right there at the tip of the lake.
All those properties are in Blue Earth
Well,
County.
there's some good, nice houses right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any no further comments? All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, now we have next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PC 23-17 is a request from Samuelson Hardwoods Incorporated for review and approval of a final plat of Landon Woods subdivision, a subdivision plat consisting of one lot. The property is zoned light industrial and is within the urban fringe overlay district of the city of Mankato. The property is located in part of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 23, South Bend Township. Ms. Asando presented the staff report. The applicants were represented. There was no public comment and little discussion by the Planning Commission. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward to the County Board a recommendation of approval based on the findings prepared by staff. And the board action is the resolution.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we can take any comments from anybody in the audience regarding PC 23-17. Is there anybody out there in the audience wish to make a comment? Again, anybody wishing to make a comment on PC 23-17? Hearing no comments, at this point we'll bring back to the board for resolution.
Move approval. Second.
Been moved and second. Any questions, discussion?
This is just finalizing that section they want to put in a drain field.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks a lot.
Yep, thank you on that. So,
Sure.
they're doing the feedlot? Yep. Yep.
Want to start that right away? Or you got, yeah. What time is that? 9:40?
Okay, we got the feedlot. You want to do the MPCA feedlot? I gotta get it here, I guess.
Well, I suppose because
We got a
we
couple
better,
minutes.
better
We got a
wait.
couple minutes, yeah.
Can you stay here? You can stay here.
Yeah.
We'll do a couple administrative things.
Yeah, I
We
would
should
stay
start
there,
at
yeah.
9:40. It's posted as 9:40 in case someone wants to come and
Someone
hear
wants to
Garrett's
come hear us.
presentation.
Well, we can go back to something quick, what, human resources, informational?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 4 in your packet is, or item number 3, pardon me, is the Human Resources Department agenda. Just a couple informational items there. We have a change of employment status for a probation officer. That position had been a temporary position, and with the budget, assuming it's approved here in a minute, we would change that position to a permanent position. So that will be subject to further action later on in the meeting. And then the second item is we have filled a custody officer position in the jail. Be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Questions? You have a question, Drew? Okay. We got a minute.
Just
You look like
wondering,
we-
do we have very many temp people in the jail usually? I just don't remember hearing much about that. I just don't.
In the jail?
Or
Probation.
Probation. Excuse me.
No, this was actually something that with the additional funding that the legislature approved for probation, I authorized a temporary position under our employee handbook regulations so that we kind of were anticipating this additional money and the permanent position that was requested from the board.
Okay.
So we did a temporary to fill in the basically 6 months of the state fiscal year till the board had a chance to vote on the 2018 budget, and then we would convert it over to a permanent position.
So she was hired this year then?
Yes.
This position?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That helps.
Yeah, we don't see that very often.
Yeah, I just don't.
The temp service to a full time. I think that's in our best interest though, to take them off temp and move them to full time.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Yep.
And it's better for them.
yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I mean,
We need the
it's
person.
For
and
benefits
They're
and
doing the
everything,
job.
it's much
Yeah.
better to be
I know.
It does
full-time
add,
status.
to our staff, but
Well,
at the end of the day, it's a wash.
The workload is what drives the additional
Exactly.
funding. Partially, the formula is based on different factors, but workload is certainly, and caseload is part of that. So the demand was there. We needed to line up kind of the budget with the staffing level, and with the additional funding, we used that temporary option as a way to build a bridge until the board had a chance to approve the additional positions in the budget.
Okay.
Good information.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Jump
Well, I think
into
we're
our
close
feedlot.
enough. We can go to our feedlot program designated delegation agreement for him. So
Thank you,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman.
Mhm.
Today I'm looking for approval of the 2018-2019 MPCA County Feedlot Program Delegation Agreement or Work Plan. Delegated counties must submit a work plan to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency to receive funding to carry out goals, plans, and minimum program requirements. The work plan reflects feedlot-related work the county is planning to do for the next 2 years. This plan is very similar to work plans from the past. The county plans to inspect and re-register every feedlot on a 4-year basis. This plan may be changed and resubmitted at any time if the county feels it is necessary to change its strategy. The following work plan has been reviewed by the regional MPCA staff as well as the MPCA County Program Development Lead and has been approved. And the board action is approval of the 2018-2019 work plan and a signature of the plan by the board chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Garrett. We have a
approval.
It's been moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussions, questions for Garrett? Drew?
So we have probably under 500 feedlots? If it's
363 that are required to be registered per 70/20 rules, and that's what our funding is based off.
Oh.
But total feedlots in the county, probably 420 or so.
Okay. Yeah. So I thought, I'm just curious. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I don't have any direct question, but a comment that, I appreciate all your hard work on this, Garrett. I mean, I know you've been filling in really good on this position and been getting a lot of good positive feedback from some of the rural people. So, and how many inspections do you try to do a year?
It's around 100.
100, yeah.
Just 100.
I knew it was quite a few.
Amazing.
Takes a while. But a couple people that have mentioned to me that you're pretty good to work with, and they appreciate that.
So you rotate then? I mean, you do like 100, and then the next year you do another.
Right. So every one is inspected within that 4 years.
And that must be their expectation for the whole state, I'm assuming.
No, minimum program requirement is 7%.
Oh.
So 7% of
Even
your
less.
Yeah, it's our county would probably be around 20, 23, something like that.
Wow.
So we're way over what you need.
Okay, that's good.
That's, yeah.
All right. That's
Efficient.
Good. Yep. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Thank you for all your hard work, Garrett.
Thank
and
you.
George.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Scott.
You jumped ahead again. My
Yeah.
gosh, the
Okay.
chair is
What
keeping
an
us
efficient
so
chair.
well today. He does such an amazing job.
Yeah, you guys,
He's like
we
a
can.
machine. He is.
We can, yeah, and, do we want to go back to something administratively?
Administrative stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 4 is the 2018 levy. In your packet is a resolution as required by Minnesota Statute 275.07, certifying the 2018 property tax levy. As you know, staff have been working on the budget since April of this year. We've had meetings with department heads that were held in June, and then throughout the summer we worked with the county board in work sessions to review the budget. These discussions have resulted in a recommendation of a levy of $34,751,280. This levy represents a 7.99% levy increase over the taxes that were assessed in 2017. And so the recommendation is for a 2018 property tax levy of $34,751,280 and have it be certified to the Blue Earth County Finance Director.
I'll move approval.
I moved. Second. Any discussion?
What does this represent for percentage?
7.99%.
7.99%.
Mr.
Can
Chair?
you-
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Vance was done.
Can you give me, what would happen if we brought this down to, let's say, 6.99, or I believe the county's growth over the past year was 6.85, is that correct?
That is correct.
So if we brought this down to, what would happen with our budget?
Well, that would be a reduction of around $330,000 in our total levy.
which of course, over a course of years could be like 10-year period would be a course of over $3 million.
Right.
All right, did you have it?
Mr. Chair, are you done?
You go ahead.
All right.
I might jump back in.
All right, that's
You
fair
go
enough.
right ahead.
I'm going to support the 7.99 today in the levy today, and part of my reasoning for that, I sure would like to lower it. I think the county's in an excellent position at this point, but I would really like to see us pay for the new building project that we're doing in cash, only because of my concern of trying to bond in a year or two. Bond rates are unbelievable right now, but in a year or two, when bond rates are at 3% or 3.5%, if they climb to that, we'll still have the ability to bond for the new building, from what my understanding is, and pay cash for that in the future. Obviously, if something comes up, we always have to be ready to do a bond, but I think this would just be in the best interest of the taxpayers to do a little extra levy now, try to pay cash for the building, not take out a bond, and have that money just basically repaying our reserves and keeping a strong reserve so that we can do these projects that we do in Blue Earth County, and have that ability to do it. With the 6.85% increase, I think that's wonderful. You know, and if we can keep a good, strong fund balance, and we've had some relatively low interest rates, and we're just doing a lot of really good things in Blue Earth County. So I'm going to support this levy today. I was actually the one, I think, that brought it up at one point to use some of it for bond when we were talking about it at discussion in planning, or in the planning meetings we had. So I got educated, and I think this would just be in the best interest of the county to try to move forward with this and make our finances in the future strong, so we can try to reserve from bonding.
Okay.
I guess from my
sorry,
my chair broke. From my standpoint, it represents realistically just a little over 1% increase for the average property owner that has no increase in values, and it saves us from using more fund balance, so I'm going to support it too.
Okay. Drew?
I've just had a few people contact me about it, about their own taxes, but when they really look at it, it's because their home values went up. It wasn't really because of this tax rate, proposed tax rate. And so, when they realize that their home values jumped $20,000 or $30,000, that's what made the county, look a little higher,
right?
Yeah, I mean, I think about the last 8 years that I've been on the board. This is actually I think the 8th or 9th levy that I've been a part of. I think we were at close to 28 million then, 27 million something, and that back then, and the growth we've had and the projects that we've had, that's probably 5-6 million at the most. It's increased in 8 years. And that's growth still, but our community's growing
a lot.
We've got some buildings that need help because they've been around a long time, and we've got growth internally. I guess I question. I hope we are careful. How we're going to do our hiring practices in the future. Maybe we need to assess some of our services as we go forward. Because I think the government is changing. Federal government's changing. If they pass this new tax law, we're going to have some real hard questions to answer for what services we provide or can pay for. So, as far as our levy dollars that go for human services, there's a chance we could lose some funding.
Right.
Yep.
And some hard questions there. So I don't know what next year's is going to be. I think Bob maybe projected 4% next year. I don't know, Bob.
Well, I think we put 6% in just for planning numbers for 2019.
Well, a good budgeter should do that for sure. A little higher than what you want to get. Right, Vance?
Yeah. I think you all know I've had questions on this, and I would I would like to bring it down. And listening to you folks, which makes a lot of sense, which is, I guess, what we all need to do is listen to each other. Absolutely understand the bonding issue and how that would benefit us. I also understand, like Drew was saying, right now, with what's happening with the state of Minnesota and what's happening with the federal government, it's turning out that local government are going to have to take up the slack. And you know, when the state tells us we have to put on a program and they don't pay for it, we have to pay for it some way. Is there can you give me a rough estimate on a $175,000 house what 1% difference would make? I mean, in our bonding or in our levy? Between if we said that we had a $175,000 house at 6.99 and a $175,000 house at 7.99. I know this is a hard question, and I'm asking for a rough estimate. I'm not asking that. I'm not going to hold you to it, Bob.
Okay.
I won't. I promise.
It'd be 330 houses divided by all the.
I would
values.
guess it'd be in the neighborhood of $10 a year.
I was figuring about 10.
I think with all the information that's coming out, I'm going to support this 7.99 myself.
That was why we have good discussions here when it comes up with important things like this, because I don't have to tell you how I was going to go. I was in support of the idea of the 7.99 because of all the reasons cited. So.
And that shocks me, Mark, but that's because I know you're.
Well, we're not a big tax and spend guy, you know. But,
that shocks me.
That's what happens here.
I think some people might be a little shocked at some of their taxes because they've got this new referendum that wasn't figured in.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When that comes out, that may impact some people. They're going to be screaming a little bit and thinking that we did it, but it's a combination of the city tax, the school district, and the county, that we pay.
And we can only answer for the county, so.
Right.
And
we've actually been fairly conservative.
And yes.
Since I've been on the board.
Yep. Really very that and very responsible about it with the budget. So I appreciate everybody's comments, and if there are no other ones, we can proceed with a vote because we have a motion, and so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you for your work here. Where are we at? Mark. Yeah, now we can take Mark up here. On taxpayer services assessment charges.
Morning, Mark.
That never sounds good, but thank you, Mark, for what you're doing.
You probably had that number Vance wanted right in your head.
Yeah, maybe you did.
I actually didn't. Josh and I were talking about that. I probably should, but I don't.
I didn't think what Bob said. I thought that's kind of what I was thinking, and I had no real clue, but they're $10.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm here to fulfill statutory obligations to report to the county board the assessment changes that have occurred since the time the 2017 County Board of Appeal and Equalization has closed back in June. And so again, these are just changes that have occurred since then. Most of these are programmatic changes in terms of applications that come due and pass the County Board of Appeal and Equalization process there. Just a reminder here that the county board does not need to approve these changes because they are programmatic. However, we do ask or request that you make them official part of your minutes here. So that's what we would be here for today. The format of the memo is similar to previous years. One notable change there you'll see on page 2 of 10 is in previous years you might have seen more disabled veterans properties listed there. The reason there's fewer this year is at the legislature this past year they've made some changes to that program, which now allows our county veteran service officer to sign off on who qualifies for that program. In the past, some of the members, most of them, had to have annual applications that were due July 1st. And by the time we would get those in July 1st and process them, they would be changes that occurred after the assessment. Now we've been proactive working with our VSO then to get those changes in place for the 2017 assessment so they don't show up as changes here. All the benefits are pretty much the same. Nothing's changing there. Everything's been applied. They just don't show up as changes since the county board closed.
Probably works out well, doesn't it?
It does. We're working out really well. Mike McLaughlin and his crew, they're really good to work with. So.
You're on top of it. Yep, good.
Yep. Other than that, the only other thing I'd probably note is on page 4 there, about halfway down, is the changes that have occurred due to tax court petitions. And pretty much from the tax court petitions that the county has handled here, we've had the Dotson Foundry, the Mills Fleet Farm, and the Lowe's in the General Electric / Midwest Electric settlements. And then the remainder of those are actually state assessed property where the Department of Revenue has worked on those utility companies that have filed tax court petitions. So a lot of those are state assessed properties, which we are just notified of those changes. So, but I just thought I'd mention them, that they're in there. So.
Okay. That the number changed that much over the years, tax court settlements at about?
It's sort of, if you recall the workshop from this past summer, it sort of cycles where it seems like every other year we've had more and more judgments, depending on how this tax court has issued those scheduling orders and that work to be got done each year. But this is probably what you'll probably see on average, moving forward here. Keep in mind, these are only the settlements that were reached since that County Board of Appeal and Equalization closed. And it's only for those settlements that impacted the 17 assessment, because we had some settlements that were for 15 and 16 assessments, for prior years, but these are for 17 assessment changes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do we have any other who want to make a?
I'll move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Happy
Mark.
holidays. Have a Merry
Great job.
Christmas.
Yeah, you have a good Christmas.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I might just add, I was able to pull up our spreadsheet on the taxes, and on our average price home, which is now $193,800 a year, or price, the difference between 7.99 versus 6.99 is $7.
Oh, even lower. Yeah.
And my house is below that, so.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much for that.
That's good to know.
$7. All right. We got a few minutes before break, so I'm going to set. Let's see. We got the
Salary.
do the budget. We do the budget quick.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 5 in your packet is the 2018 proposed budget. Minnesota Statute 375A.06 requires the county administrator to prepare and submit an annual budget and long-range capital expenditure program to the county board. As I've mentioned previously, staff have been working on the budget since earlier this year, and it's been reviewed a number of times by the county board in work sessions. As such, I'm recommending approval of a resolution regarding the 2018 budget, which projects expenditures at $117,157,070.
I would move to approve.
It's been moved. There's a second. Discussion?
Notice that how close Public Works and Human Services are together. I always thought that Human Services would be higher, personally, than Public Works, but now Public Works covers which areas?
All of the roads, bridges, parks, and really Human Services in the past has typically been higher unless there's been a huge infusion of federal monies, but with the local option sales tax money,
We're doing a lot more road building and stuff.
Plus, there's some term back in here too, isn't there, Bob?
there is in the 2018 budget for County Road 1. You're right.
All right.
It really bumps it up.
That was the only question I had, because I noticed, wait a minute, this didn't seem right, but our sheriff's department comes out of which fund?
Out of the general fund.
Out of the general fund. Okay. Thank you very much. That's the only comment I had. I really didn't have the question. It's just a comment that I had.
Mr. Chair? Right. I just have a comment. Again, as Bob mentioned earlier, we're going to start this process over again in April. A lot of effort by the whole entire county staff and us as a board. Many discussions. A lot of times at the end of a meeting when Bob gets shortchanged because we run out of time, but we still manage to get through it and have a lot of discussion on it. So thanks to the staff for preparing it.
Maybe we should put it to the head of the
One of these times we have to put
work
Bob
session.
first.
Yeah, put Bob first. I know that's hard, but let's put Bob first.
So
All
thank
right.
you for the hard
Yep.
work.
Thank you, yes, for all the hard work.
Thank
there.
you.
Okay, let's see, all those, yeah.
Yep.
Guess all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, budget's passed, and let's take a break. Well, I guess at this point we can have Community Corrections and Josh Milo. Welcome again, Josh.
Thank you, Mr.
Morning,
Chair,
Josh.
Commissioners.
And it is...
I have a couple items today on the agenda. One is for our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is something that is required by the Minnesota Department of Corrections on a biennial basis. The comprehensive plan basically just updates the Department of Corrections of what we're doing with our staffing levels and anything new that we're highlighting. And also it has our overall funding, which we're receiving for state funds and then with county funds. One thing to take note of that was touched on earlier with the human resources discussion was that funding that we received starting July 1st. We received approximately 11% in new funding from the state, and out of that funding, probably 2.5% to 3% was actually new money from the legislature, but the vast majority of that funding was based on the workload that we have through our department. I think as we've talked about previously, there is a formula that is used by all the community corrections at counties, and based on those level of services that we have for our office, we actually had the highest increase in the formula in all the state of community corrections at counties. So it just really shows that we definitely have an increased workload. And I think when we've talked in the past, a lot of those are based on felony filings, gross misdemeanor filings, juvenile filings. Then it also takes into account the age of your population, net tax capacity. So when they put all these things together into a formula, that dictates how much funding you'll receive. So almost 8% of that funding is based on that, our increased workload over the last biennium. So I would respectfully request that the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners approve the 2018-2019 comprehensive plan.
Move to approve.
Been moved in second. Discussion, questions?
I went through the whole plan.
Okay, good. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
All right, the next item I have is that with our Corrections Advisory Board, which is also required by statute by having a community corrections at county, is I have a list of individuals that I'm requesting be appointed to our Corrections Advisory Board. They are all listed. All of these are actually, except one, are returning members to our advisory board. Our one new addition is Amy Vocal from the Mankato Department of Public Safety. She's taking over for Director Todd Miller. The other ones are reappointments from the last 2 years.
Okay. Is every commissioner district represented?
Every district is represented. The only one is really represented by more of their association of the Diversity Council with Pecata Hayes, who's District 1. Otherwise, Commissioner Campbell doesn't have a true citizen member, which him and I have conversed on that, and he's going to be looking at a couple different options for citizen members for him. But otherwise, at this time, we do have every district is represented. We have 1 in District 2, we have 3 in District 4, 1 in District 3, and 2 in District 5 at this point in time.
And you still have the youth.
And we have the youth member, the student member, he's technically the student member, Devin Schaefer, and he's also District 5 is where he would represent. And we had a couple over the years that have been on our advisory board for several years that have actually, I think we have one that's in their 3rd commissioner district since they've been on the advisory board over 20 years. So there's some that have, so there's a couple we've in the past had some that were on in District 1 that have moved. We had another one that recently moved over to District 4. So there's some of those that have moved over time.
All right.
I would move to approve.
Been moved. Second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of the appointment say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Everything.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so let's see, 9, 10, 20. Do we want to take another
Jail food?
agenda item?
All right, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 6 is 2018 salary adjustments. Our practice has been to approve general wage adjustments for all non-union employees, supervisors, county department heads and elected officials to be the same as those that are negotiated with our labor unions. For 2018, this would be a 2% general wage adjustment effective January 1st of 2018. And you see the proposed county commissioner salary then would be $37,190.40 for 2018.
I'll move approval.
Moved and second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay.
Item number 7 in your packet then is the 2018 per diem rates. Our policy states that each year the county board will establish per diem rates for the various boards and commissions that the commissioners sit on. The current per diems are set at $75 per day, calculated based on $50 for a half day, where the start of the first meeting until the completion of the last meeting is 4.5 or less consecutive hours, and $75 for a full day. So basically those days where it's more than 4.5 hours of continuous time. And so those will be the same rates as we've had on previous years, and that's the recommendation for 2018.
Do you know how many years?
I don't off the top of my head. It's been quite a few. I believe it's as long as I've been administrator, so
I've been on 15
more
years.
than 7 years.
So it's probably 15 to 20 years.
I would guess in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
It's been moved and second. I think we had that. All those.
I would like to have a discussion sometime over the next year on raising this. Not so much that we need the money, but you know, sometimes if you don't keep up with things, just like we have our annual 2% or whatever what the unions make for our increase, I'd like to have a discussion how this should either change or get rid of it or whatever we should do, but maybe we could have a work session on this.
Sure.
Yep.
All right.
Sense.
Okay. Yep. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay. We got 10. We have
10.
And Phil is here now.
Phil's here.
10:20 and Mr. Phil.
Morning, Phil.
Good morning, Phil.
Oh, look at that stack of paper he's got,
my
Mr.
goodness.
Chair.
Oh, that's
You can just
look at who gets to sign
homework.
all those.
Those contracts.
Sometimes it's nice to
The
know.
only one that's more happier to get him than us is Jesse. Yeah.
That's right, look at her face.
Yeah.
She's beaming.
I said because I get to hand them off to
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That was the smile.
Isn't that awesome?
All right.
Well, happy holidays to you, Mr.
Merry
Chair and
Christmas.
board.
Yeah,
Yes, Merry Christmas to you all. I do appreciate the earlier recognition of the Yellow Line team as well. I want to say that one more time. I do have a whole slew of action items for you today. I will tell you that I try to group them and summarize them very briefly in the way I'm going to present them to you, so I'm more than willing to go back over whatever any of you might want as far as more detail, but I'll try to move through this large list fairly rapidly and redirect me as you wish. The action items are as follows, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Mental Health Center, we have the first 3 contracts listed there, all from our psychiatric providers. You'll see the amounts listed under the first paragraph. Michael Farnsworth at $217.44 per hour. That's a contract with a maximum of over $315,000 and a term of January 1st through 18. January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18 with a 2% increase. The next one is Deb Sowers, who has her doctorate in nursing, advanced practice nurse. The rate per hour for that credential is $104.04, not to exceed language at $173. And we do have a provider pay scale for these purposes on both of those. And the term is the same. And finally, Michael Goblish, a newer provider to us, again an advanced practice nurse, at $85 an hour, not to exceed $88,400. The advanced practice nurses and psychiatric providers either are stepping, so Mike is stepping at $5 per hour rate increase, or they get a cost of living. So that's something that we're going to be looking at this next year too. I heard the earlier discussion about how we do cost of living and how that affects our pay scale. The term is the same, January 1st through December 31st of 18. Stephanie Koenig is listed, but it's an Alliance Healthcare contract. We offer 2 different ways to employ these individuals, either privately, which is those first 3 contracts, or through Alliance Healthcare. So this is that parent contract. It is a renewal. The rates are unchanged. Alliance takes a 20% fee, which includes workman's comp, unemployment, and administrative costs. And the term is similar, January 1st, 2018 through December 31st of next year. Tricia Aiken, kind of back to the private contract, but Tricia is a psychologist, and so the rate is different at $92.23 per hour, annualized max of $38,376, because she does give us very limited hours to do primarily some testing and diagnostic work in the psychology practice. There is a 2% increase in that contract, and the term is the same. And then finally, under that section is LeSueur County Human Services. We recently did one with Nicollet that mirrors this. LeSueur has been in place for a number of years, where we help with their mental health needs to their county, and we also include 1 hour of psychiatric consultation through Dr. Farnsworth to the LeSueur County staff. It is a renewal. The rate is unchanged with a max not to exceed $40,000 a year. Term is January 1st, 18 through December 31st, 18. I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you want me to pause at certain points and see if there's questions, or if you want me to just keep rolling.
It's nice to have a pause, but
Pause.
just for a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mark.
Oh.
I'm just, Mr. Chair, so I take a
Sorry.
breath in between.
Well, if so desire, you want to take a pause if you got a question there, Drew, but otherwise we could wait till we're all...
Okay,
Done.
I'll keep
Yeah.
moving, and then please, I'm fine if you guys need to ask a question as I go. Supportive housing, just one item under there, it's a HUD contract. This is a little bit of a unique situation where we're transferring responsibility for administration back to Hearth Connections. They actually do a lot of this administrative duty, and a little beyond the halfway part in the paragraph, you'll see that they track and monitor and report on this grant already. And so we're just trying to add the consistency by having them do this rental assistance grant like the other grants they have with us, and to take us out of that administrative role. So it is a relief. There's a lot of times I come to you saying we're adding a fiscal host, here's one, we're giving one back away, which I'm glad for, because we are usually willing to do a lot of this, but it's a nice way to streamline what we have. And there is a note there that it has no impact on our South Central Supportive Housing Initiative team that we run, and the effective date would be January 1st, and then no end date. We just transfer the administrative duties to them.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Drew.
On that one, I was curious about, because you know, if there's pass-through dollars, we have to do some of the management of it. Usually we get a little percentage, you know, to kind of help things. So it's just going to be handed off. It's not going to pass through us anymore even. It's just going to go right there.
Right. They're doing a lot of those duties already, and I don't believe there are any dollars that are transferred in this, so it's just a responsibility we've taken on, and they actually do a lot of the work now.
Yeah.
So it's really just a switch of formality in the contract, so it's really clear that they're going to do that work and they're responsible for that work.
Good.
So it's a pretty simple one, actually. Probably was misaligned at the beginning, but at that time, you know, you all show good faith by saying we're willing to do some of the work, and this is just a way to get it right. So
Nice, thank you.
Thank you. Children and Family Services Child Welfare Juvenile Screening Grant. This is a renewal for our children's mental health screening tools that are done by staff. They really the screening determines if there's need for a full-blown diagnostic assessment. The money is set by the volume of assessments, and for 18 we've been awarded $28,147 You'll see the previous award at $18,716. So our volume has been up significantly, which generated, that difference of about $10,000 from last year. The term is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18. The next two under financial assistance can be looked at together. AmeriCare Mobility Van for medical assistance transports and Cato Cab, same purpose. DHS does set the rates for these contracts, and so those will be the same for both contracts, as well as the date of January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18 for both contracts. Public health, this is another administrative really switch, where what we're really trying to accomplish is at the very end of the paragraph, which is to create automatic renewal dates for our Joint Powers Board contract between Blue Earth, Brown, Le Sueur, Nicollet, Waseca, and Watonwan counties for our immunization registry. Purpose obviously is for vaccine preventable disease, and we keep track of and coordinate the immunization records with the clinics. This started back in January of 2012, and then the amendment that we're doing that would apply to all of 17 and going forward is this automatic renewal date, so that people still have their outs, including ourselves, but that the contract would automatically renew, and we've lost the language in that contract, so we want to put it back in. Adult Behavioral Health Unit, there is two to begin with, 5 altogether that I'll read to you that are exactly the same type of contract, so I'm going to take these together. Fountain Centers, Christian Family Solutions, Open Door Health Center, New Ulm Medical Center, House of Hope. All 5 of those providers provide us the ability to do a Rule 25 assessment. When we moved Jessie Hornick from her role to the jail, this was the service that we contracted out, and at $150 per assessment. And the requirements are that the individual is our county of financial responsibility and they meet qualifying income standards. For those that have insurance, the insurance provider does the assessment. So that's how that works. There is a lot of change coming in chemical health, and I think it will be privatized is what DHS intends. So the way we're contracting, we're guessing this will probably over the next few years sunset and be tipped to the privates anyway. So I think we're positioned very well for that change. And then the providers obviously have done a great job. We've had no complaints from these providers in this past year that we've been doing this. Again, the rate of the assessment is $150 as a flat rate, and the term for all the providers is January 1st, 18 through December 31st of 18.
And that's pretty reasonable too, though.
It really is pretty standard, Commissioner, as far as that rate goes, yes. The final one in that category is Woodland Centers, and that is a different contract. It really is our backup detox resource. So when our primary Brown County Evaluation Center is full, we go to Woodland Centers, and we have other contracts like this. You'll see a similar increase. We had a sizable increase from Brown County this year, but again here, I think the cost of providing this care has gone up. The staffing costs obviously are part of that as well, but a 15% increase, which is significant. We use this contract very little, so to the bottom line, I would say to the board that we'll probably see little to no effect, but it is an insurance policy if we have our detox facility filled up for whatever reason.
Where is Woodland Center again?
Woodland Center, that is a good question. I believe that is in Wilmer, if I'm correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What is the cost per day at the New Ulm detox?
Yeah, and I don't know if Commissioner Purvis knows this year, but I think it might be similar to the previous setting, like the 480. I think it might be about 475, something like that is my guess. I can get you a hard number, Commissioner, if we need it. There are some kind of qualifiers, and that's what's hard about telling you a rate. That's a ballpark. But then they'll chase insurance for us. At times we'll chase insurance, and so sometimes you get a little money back on that. And so if you're kind of a member versus an outside party using that facility, there's some different rate adjustments in that too. But I think that ballpark is, around that 400, 450.
Well, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Obviously, Wilmer's a lot further away than
Absolutely.
And when a person is released from detox, they have to find their way back to Mankato.
That is correct. Yes.
You know, and coming back from Wilmer is a lot more expensive than coming back from New Ulm.
That is correct.
So there's a lot of things, you know, saying we want to keep it in New Ulm.
Yes.
But it would be good to know what the cost difference is.
Sure.
You know, on some weekends we could probably provide a bus for them to come back.
Right.
As many people that.
Right. Exactly.
It all depends on what's going on with MSU.
Homecoming or such. Yes.
There was a 12.6% increase in Brown counties this year. And that's just based on all the things Phil talked about. Yep.
Absolutely.
And Commissioner, I can do a little more research for all of us, but I believe that still is one of the cheaper games in town. And then to your point, we'd add transport costs on top of it. Yes.
It would have to be a lot higher.
Right. Which it is not.
To be, I mean, the thing is, it costs us for transportation, it costs us for hourly wage for a transport officer. I mean, there's a lot of things that are added in here that's not here.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, to send somebody, I've done those transports to Wilmer.
I know.
So for somebody to do that, you know, it takes a lot more time. That's almost a full day type of thing.
Right.
Driving somebody to Wilmer and then driving them, you know, so.
Yes. And Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Purvis, the whole issue around keeping our detox facility viable, to Commissioner Struenberg's point, Fountain Centers, which was our next closest in Albert Lee, shut down. So it is a business that's hard to run with high liabilities. And so I think we have a lot of interest in trying to keep this talk viable and keep our facilities viable, because some of those seem to be going the other way, where they're having a hard time staying in business, which I think we're seeing here in this backup contract, an increase of 15% as well.
You know, and I don't want to give him a big head, but I think we're blessed that we have Will that's on the chair. It's the chair of the board for the Detox Center in New Ulm, and not only being chair, but being on the board for so many years and understands the situation. I think that's very, very positive for us here in Blue Earth County. It keeps us knowledgeable as to what's going on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I can get that per diem number for you. I just don't have it off the top of my head, so I'll follow that up.
Sure. Thank you.
Just went up, didn't it?
Yeah, 12.6%, I think.
Right. Disability services, this creates a lot of volume in that stack of contracts that I'm giving to our chair, but I can group them together and certainly enter into a dialogue with the board if you wish. These are all renewal contracts and nothing new as far as previous years of business. The first one, MRCI Extended Employment and Adult Daycare, you'll see there's two different rates on this to provide these services, and to people that don't choose to go through the community-based waiver, they are the ones that we serve through this rate through MRCI. Extended employment, $115.92 per month per client, and that increases to $118.24, so small increase, 2%. And then adult daycare, those rates increase to $294 per quarter hour, so you multiply that times 4. That's set by the state for the adult daycare, and the term on both of those is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18. The next one, also high volume area, grouped together in the disability services area: Vine Volunteer Transportation, Senior Social Services. Actually, this is a standalone one where both seniors and social service clients are transported by a rate through this contract that have remained the same. The term of the agreement is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 19, so a 2-year contract with no rate change as far as those services. We do also have an MA services contract that I'll bring next month that mirrors this one with a different population.
Can I ask a question? Go ahead. I'm just curious about this daycare rate. So you're saying that basically it's less than $12 an hour for somebody to be in adult daycare?
Yeah. Right.
The state pays?
Right. And so some of that is what their per hour of how they do cost that out is correct. It doesn't mean that there aren't other funds that are paid for that person's day, like either through the waiver or other things, but that carve out for daycare is very reasonable, very small, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of work. Have you ever talked to mine? They've got adult daycare over there, and I'm on the board there, and I can tell you that they don't make any money. Okay?
Right.
So the other services they do fund daycare for our community.
Right.
And that's what's going on over there.
Oh, yeah.
And if they didn't have volunteers, I don't think it'd happen.
I really think, Commissioner, that this is a volunteer rate. I mean, if you look at that, it's just to cover some of the direct expenses, and your mission is something separate. And I know I've talked to the board about foster care. I think sometimes you cost that out, and people are doing it really out of the goodness of their hearts. And I'm not sure that that's the right way to go, because this is, I mean, where do you see a rate like that anymore these days? Yes. And so it's really such a small amount. Obviously, it's viable when you get a big group of people together, but that's still, I don't know that there's...
You're not going to have a lot usually in a daycare. So,
I agree.
You can't function very well.
Right, and especially if there's any special needs or anything like that.
That's really it, son. So you're saying this rate is it through the state?
Yeah, so it's set by the state rate management system.
Oh, okay, well that would make sense. Right. The state sets the rate for nursing homes.
Exactly.
For CNAs.
Right.
For PCAs, all that stuff.
And those are some of the concerns we get from providers in our community, but it's not a community rate. It's not a negotiated rate by us.
I know our Representative Jack Considine said he's making a commitment to trying to get the state legislators to see that these kind of positions that care for other people need to get a more living wage.
Absolutely.
And the care they provide is important. The training that they get, the supervision that they get by professionals. This thing with elder abuse, this is involved in here too. I don't know if you've been reading about some of that. There's a big concern throughout the whole state of Minnesota.
The TRIB had, started.
It's not just they're not just talking nursing homes here. They're talking about families involved in these things, keeping people in their homes and then collecting their checks and not providing the proper care. All these things.
Well, no, that's a big part. Yeah, it's relative.
A big one.
Well, and I can say, it's been a real blessing for us to have Detective Wendler with us and Detective Peterson in fraud and abuse, because that law enforcement discipline complementing what we do and having the right people there. But the issues of what you're bringing up about the elderly population as our population and community ages, that there's vulnerability there and people take advantage of it. So I do think we're strong in our response to that and have the right kind of personnel to look into that, but we all know too it's kind of when it's too late. You get a report once something bad has happened, and that's regrettable. The guardianship contracts are taken as a group again. They all do very similar service. Of course there's nuance from provider to provider, so in no way do I mean to say they're all the same, but guardianship services, habilitative services, Lutheran social services, alternative resolutions, Wings Guardianship Services, and then private provider Pamela Keel and Peggy Brucker. Those last three are new guardianship contracts. We tend to err on the side of offering contracts in this area just so that both clients and case managers have more choices for good fits. There is a 2% increase for the guardianship services contract and a 3% increase for habilitative services. Lynette Ayers is trying to bring some equity. Different providers have different scales and scopes and costs of doing business, so we take that into effect. But we do want it to have some rhyme to our reason, and so we are trying to look at that and trying to bring some equity to the rates that we're paying for all these different contracts. These are 2-year cycles, terms being January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 19. I'm sorry. And then DT&H and IFDD agreements, they are written out in the paragraph as far as what those acronyms are for. Harry Myron Center, REM, LifeWorks, MRCI. A requirement of our Minnesota rules is that the day training and habilitation, so DT&H, and intermediate care facilities, developmental disability residents, the ICFDD populations, use medical assistance reimbursement to provide for these services, and the term for these contracts are January 1st of 18 through December of 18, 31st of 18, I should say. I have 2 administrative items, I believe. One is our document scanning contract that the board's well aware of. MRCI WorkSource provides this contract. The amount of the contract is not listed in my narrative, but it's $44,356 for that contract per year. We have obviously some statute that requires us to do record retention schedules and follow that, so this service allows for us to do that, as well as partner with a really cool bunch of people. We expanded the scope also. Bob's been involved in this, to taxpayer services, highway department, county administration. The offering is open to other departments as well, as they have needs to do some of this imaging scanning work. It is a renewal agreement. We did a 2% cost of living increase on this contract. The term is January 1st of 18 through December 31st of 18. And Mr. Chair, obviously there's a lot of names in this final item. It is an action item to endorse these people being on the Human Service Task Force Committee, and also reappointments to 18. What I thought I might do is just read the new appointments and let the board look at the reappointments. There's 16 of those. The 6 new people that would be appointed this year: Barry Evans, District 5, Mental Health Task Force; Alexandra Flatley, District 1, Social Service Task Force; Heather Hammond, District 1, Human Service Advisory Committee; Randy Larson, District 2, Mental Health Task Force; Hussein Osman, District 1, Human Service Advisory Committee; and Jade Willick, District 1, Mental Health Task Force would be the new appointments. And then see the list recognizing all the people that are on our committees that are reappointments for 18. So those would be the action items I have for you today. A lot of them.
Can you go over them one more time?
Sure, yeah, you just want me to read through the big list? I can try. To. I don't think I can do better than I just did, so.
I'll move approval.
Second. Been moved and second.
Mr. Chair, if I may just jump in, I did have a chance to look up the detox rate for Brown County Evaluation Center. For 2018, it'll be $411. So.
Okay. Wow, quite a savings.
That is
quite a savings
compared to the other.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Commissioner. Did you vote? I'm sorry.
No, we haven't voted yet.
We might not.
I've got some questions that could change.
Yeah, we have a question from Commissioner Drew.
At the very bottom, you've got district vacancies.
Yeah.
And if I'm reading that correctly, in my case here, I'm District 1. It says 0 all the way down, which means I'm represented.
That is what that means,
That's what
Commissioner.
that means.
Absolutely.
There's no needs really for
Are you
me.
trying to pat yourself on the back?
Well, I'm just saying, I've got good people in my district,
do.
you know, that are
Absolutely what it
interested
means.
in what's going on with the county.
That's what it means.
Sometimes it's good to be a 0.
Right. I just.
Notice the chair didn't make that comment.
Good number to have.
And he meant that in all positive.
A loving way.
Clarify
It's
it.
kind of like paying interest. I mean, what better interest rate do you want than 0?
Exactly. Can be a good thing.
I can say too
It
that
can be a good thing, yes.
the name that was on there, Heather Hammond, she came through our Citizens Academy about a year ago.
Yeah.
So, and then now she was elected as our neighborhood association president.
Oh, nice.
So she serves our Lincoln Park neighborhood.
Perfect.
So, yep,
Good fit.
she's a ordained minister. And,
Oh, cool.
has a lot of background experience.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've got Jay Walters, so that trumps you all.
That does trump, doesn't it? I agree. I'm a little biased there, Will.
That has more points.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
any other further questions or disruptions? Otherwise, we'll take a vote on that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. There you go, Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Despite all
And
that.
Commissioner Campbell did talk about that attachment, and yeah, it is just an FYI. And obviously, my pitch would be for those. I know sometimes it is hard to find people, but if anybody approaches you, Noel or myself would be a great contact point. But Noel does a nice job of explaining the responsibilities and all that, so that would probably be the best fit. If you do have anybody in mind or somebody that seems interested in the work we do, we'd be glad to include them.
And just to follow up with that, Phil, I do think when I talked to Noel last, there's a position or two open for youth on each one of those.
Absolutely.
The youth that were on there came off, and so if you guys know of anybody that would like to serve on one of these human service, mental health, or what's the other one there? Social Services Task Force.
Yes.
They've got 1 or 2 seats open.
Thank
So-
you, Commissioner. Yeah, in her title lines there, she says it does not include youth voice people, so we're looking for those for sure. Thank you. Thank you all.
Oh, we need to vote on this yet.
We did.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second.
We voted.
We voted. Yeah.
I guess too much talk.
See, you subconsciously support me. You don't even know
I
you-
was supporting you no matter what. You know.
Exactly right, Commissioner. I love it. Thank you all.
It happened. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
See you.
All right, we can go back to the few remaining administrative services.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 8 in your packet is appointments and reappointments to the Environmental Services Citizen Committees. We have 3 committees: the Recycling Education Committee, the Planning Commission, and Board of Adjustment. And actually, all of these are reappointments, and so we're recommending board approval of those reappointments.
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Moving in second, any discussion? Is this all of the, or because not every district has, or some districts need somebody there, huh? Or
Well, these would be the
Just the
ones
ones
that
this
their
year?
terms are up for reappointment, so we don't have the
Yeah,
full
we don't have
list
that.
of
It's listed.
all these
Yeah.
committees.
Okay.
One quick comment too. Our recycling education committee, that's an opportunity there where she's willing to take up to 8 youth. Because then what she does is they find a project to work on, and she helps lead that. And the past year, she said it worked really well to have at least 4 or 5, up to 8, even more she'd take. They'd work on a special project then that has to do with recycling, and the kids really seem to enjoy that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah. So.
Good stuff. Our county does amazing things.
Yeah. It's really nice.
All right.
What's the gal's name that runs that? I'm trying to think.
Jean Lundquist.
That's Jean Lundquist.
That's it. I'm sorry. For a minute, I had a blank there.
Okay, any further? And all those in favor of the Recycling Education Committee appointments, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And we just have...
Item number 9 in your packet is approval of an amendment to the contract that we have with Elior, which has gone through a few name changes. Used to be Avians. They provide our inmate food services at the jail. Staff at the jail have negotiated this contract to include a 2% increase in the rate, and so this amendment to the contract would be effective December 1st of this year.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved in second. Discussion? All in favor?
Just think about it for getting, they want a 2.6, so the 2.0, I'm glad you could keep at that, it's good.
That's positive.
Staff have done a nice job. I think that's been kind of an approach that's been taken the last few years as we've renewed these contracts, but clearly folks are trying to get the best deal for the county.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So then we have...
Item number 10 in your packet is the Drainage Inspector's Report. We do have one repair of County Ditch 57 down in Buford Township. There is a gully wash in a couple of areas. The estimated cost is between $30,000 and $35,000, but that was anticipated, so assessments have been planned for 2018 to cover that.
Wow.
I'll move approval.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor of the contract say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And then we have our electronic fund transfers.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 11 is a memo that addresses electronic funds transfer authority. According to Minnesota Statute 471.38, Subdivision 3A, the county board shall annually delegate the authority to make electronic funds transfers. So we're recommending approval, authorizing the finance director and assistant finance director to make those electronic fund transfers on behalf of the county.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved second. All those in favor?
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you think it's, maybe this is a legal question, I don't know, but Should we include a name in there when we do it or not for this kind of a resolution?
You know, it's actually better to designate the
Is it?
position should
Something happen?
somebody
Matt's shaking
leave
his
that
head, yes.
position,
I
at
see.
least then
Yeah.
the
'Cause
replacement
This represents
is
some
a...
pretty big dollars. This is millions and millions of dollars.
That's
getting
correct.
moved around.
Well, this is, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the question. You know, what do you?
Yeah, good question, though.
Let the attorney here.
Well, that way, the way it is, if something happens and somebody retires or whatever, whoever moves into that spot has that designation.
Since we have to renew this all the
We'd
time,
have to
because
put-
it's a state
Be
statute.
up to the 5 of us to move that person into that spot, so.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? We'll move the recognition of the statutory authority there, designating the chief financial officer. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
Item number 12 in your packet, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, is an amendment to the 2017 Violent Crime Enforcement Team Grant Agreement. This is the grant agreement that funds the Drug Task Force. This is just awarding $152,000 to the Blue Earth County Sheriff's Office, so we're recommending approval of this grant amendment.
So moved. Second?
Been moved second, discussion? Nobody has a discussion question on that? Okay.
You wouldn't want to hear it.
Funds the task force, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
There's a task force, yep. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries. And with that,
Move to adjourn?
I think that's it. We move to, will we move to recess?
Recess.
Recess.
Yeah.
Move to
Where are we
recess?
recessing to, Mr.
We're
Chair?
recessing to the
Axle
bonfire.
bonfire.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second. Oh, we'll take a vote even then. How's that? You want to vote?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, all those in
Last one of the year.
all those in favor of
right.
recess say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.